computer. Hi guys, it's Marshall here, and we've got our live Q&A today. So I asked 3 questions in the group. And the first one is, what are the differences between connection and attachment? Okay. So the reason I asked this question is because codependency starts out as an attachment. It's the child attachment to the parent. It's the way we survive the world, and then that gets aborted or fractured or damaged because of the lack of the parent showing up as a healthy adult. And so we stay stuck in that area developmentally and emotionally. And then as we grow into adults, we start connecting with other people that make us feel a certain way, and we confuse that for love. And it's kind of a challenging thing right there, but when we don't know what connection is and what attachment is, everything's going to feel like attachment. So that's why I asked that question there, so we can begin to understand how they are fundamentally different things, and they have different purposes. Now, most people are going to have some attachment in their relationships. Nobody's going to be completely detached. That's just not realistic. I call us sticky beings. We get stuck, we connect with someone, then we're going to also have something stuck to them. We're going to have a little attachment there. That's normal, it's psychological, and it's emotional bonding. That's normal. But attachment is managed, if it's full-on attachment, it's going to be managed differently than connection. So attachment is indicated by enmeshment. Enmeshment means to lose oneself in someone else. You become absorbed in their world, or they're becoming absorbed in yours. And you don't have a sense of what's called differentiation or individuation, where you know you and you know them, and you know where you and they begin. Distinct boundaries, both emotionally, socially, interest-wise, energy-wise, things like that. Healthy connection has an active and respectful honoring of individuality. People within healthy connection are talking about supporting each other's dreams and goals. They have their own set of friends. They go out and do their things with their friends, and then they have mutual friends that they do things with. Hi, Brienne. And then they do their, and the other person in the relationship has their world, their friends, their interests. So they are both separate, but they're working together as a unified team for a mutual vision and goal, and that's called unity. That concept comes from John Gottman's model called the Sound House relationship theory. So, and then, but they're still individuals. But when you're in attachment, you're enmeshed. So if I was enmeshed with somebody, then her dreams, her desires, her everything would be my everything too. And not that maybe they are by coincidence the same things, that's different. But if I gave up my priorities to make hers priority, I'm enmeshing myself within her and losing my sense of self, my identity. So that's one of the core elements, core differences between attachment and connection is individuation. They're both separate people. So there's some other qualities that I wrote down here, so I'm going to read it off the list so I can be good about this, be effective. First one is, under connection, they're available, right? You're available to have an emotional experience with the person. So, I had a bad day. I could put that on the table and they're fine with it. Like, oh yeah, it's a shitty day. Do this, do that. Maybe they're disappointed in me for eating all of their chocolates. Then they can communicate that and feel safe with that. That's connection and action. Attachment will handle conflict by trying to control or avoid it. Or it gets very toxic very quickly. It can explode into irrational fights, name-calling, contempt, criticism, those kind of things. So attachment will try to deflect or blame, become defensive. The 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse by John Gottman, he goes through those things. It's criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. If that's happening, we're dealing with an attachment. Someone's scared about losing something, a benefit that they're receiving from the other person. And so conflict in healthy relationships is about understanding. Conflict and attachment's about controlling or trying to be right or avoid accountability. Connections typically are very accepting, very warm, very receiving of the other individual and their nature. Both are positive and negative attributes. The things we love about them, the things that kind of annoy us about them, those kind of things are all acceptable in connection. We're willing to receive and understand them because we care about how they feel. This kind of brings up this other point because I run on my little rabbit trails here. But there's two elements to relationship. The first one is utility. This is where we're getting a benefit from the relationship. What does it produce for me? What's in it for me? And if we're dealing with a narcissist, it's all about what's in it for them, and we don't get anything out of it. So that's really a good signal. If you're in a narcissistic relationship, there's only one person that's important. It's always them. So we've got that element there. I'm going to mute you, Brian. And then we have, so we got that utility-based or object-based relationship. Now, this is not necessarily a bad relationship model, depending on what you're doing. Your jobs are going to be dominantly in that. So like, I do X, I do X to get Y. I make the widget and I get money. That's the utility relationship. So it's not necessarily wrong or bad in certain situations, but it is not healthy for the other option in relationships, which is connection. Okay? Connection is about caring about who the other person is, or they care about who we are. We care about how each other feels. That's the big difference. Over here in narcissism land or utility land, what's in it for me? Over here in connection land is what's in it for us. How do we feel about this? What do you need? What do I need? It's vulnerable. It's open. It's available. It's meaningful. Hi, Melinda. And so that's the difference between, that's the two spectrums in relationships. You've got utility and you've got connection. So connection is warm, available, accepting. It's empathetic. They care about how you feel. They reciprocate. Because if we're playing in that utility relationship dynamic, they don't reciprocate, they take. Especially if you've been dealing with the narcissist, it's like, well, I didn't get my chocolate today. Where is it? And you're like, I've been working all day. Could I have some love? And they're like, I want my chocolate. Then you give them your chocolate and they run away. Or they might love bomb you and you might think it's changing and then they get mad at you 10 seconds later because it's not enough chocolate or whatever. So yeah, we want to be really mindful about that. So connection versus attachment. Attachment is, I need something from you. It matters to me and I need that from you. So we're using the person for that benefit, or they're using us for that benefit. Connection is I care about how you feel, and it's a mutual understanding and a mutual experience for us in that. So that's the difference. I have a PDF on that I'll post. I need to update it, so it'll probably be tomorrow-ish when I get that up. But another component in attachment versus connection is how we communicate. In connection, I'm going to mute you here, Melinda. How we communicate is really there we go. Communication. How we communicate is about being direct, kind, and assertive. We do that in a connection. If we're in attachment, we're typically going to go for passive aggressive or controlling, and that's where we lead into the conflict dynamic that happens there. But it's important to understand that conflict isn't a problem. Conflict happens, period. It's a normal, natural aspect of living in life. But how conflict is transacted can tell us where we're coming from or where they're coming from. Because remember, relationship is usually a combination of both attachment and connection. So if someone's very upset or very animated about something, and they're being either passive aggressive or aggressive about it, there's a need they don't know how to ask for. And if we're in a position where we want to, we can ask them to communicate that need in a certain way so that we can hear them. One really excellent way of this kind of communication is called nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg. And I would highly recommend his work in learning how to communicate empathically while maintaining your boundaries, while maintaining your ownership of your feelings, and allowing others to maintain ownership of their choices, behaviors, and emotions. So that's the difference between connection and attachment. It breaks down to connections about us. How do we feel? It's empathetic, it's available, and it's kind. Attachments, what's in it for me? I've got to control or avoid things, and it's typically not going to be very reciprocal. It's usually parasitic. It takes more than it gives. All right. So before I go to the next question, do you guys have any questions about that one? I'll unmute you. No questions? You guys have any thoughts on that? Okay. So we'll get to the next one. Yes. All right. So the next question we had was, how can I tolerate uncertainty? Now, this is one of the most critical skills we have as adults, because we know really well the uncertainty of the world, right? We know it can change sometimes minute to minute. And as children in a healthy family, we're actually taught how to deal with uncertainty because our parents encourage us to go out and fail, to go out and explore and understand the world, and then come back to home base, get nurture, get care, and discuss and explore what happened. So we can feel supportive, feel understood, have the empathy that's operating there, so it's with us in that. Well, none of us really got that. We got that narcissistic approach where you better be perfect. You better get it right. You get this wrong, there's going to be a consequence. Where we're also taught that our value was based only on the output we created, right? We're only worth what we do. And so this taught us to fear uncertainty because we know innately we can't control the outcome. Our brain's like, I don't have control of the weather, and I don't have control of this feature or that person or this element. And so uncertainty becomes a dangerous thing to us. When in reality, uncertainty is an opportunity to discover. So this is what I do, and this is what I coach my clients to do when we wrestle with uncertainty. This comes back to law 2, which is be curious. That's the solution. If you are willing to embrace uncertainty with curiosity, you're willing to do what I call consume the fear, or really accept the consequence. Deal with the consequence in its deeper meaning, which is typically I won't be loved. We can thrive with uncertainty because we can use it to our advantage. We can use it to discover how to succeed. We can use it to understand what we really want. And we can use it to discover what matters to us in circumstances. So it's all about this discovery. And that's why I couch it with curiosity. We're really good discoverers. We're excellent explorers, but we're really bad at knowing things. I mean, codependency taught us this neat skill of prediction, right? We get out there and I know this person so well, I can predict that they'll do this thing. And our brain, our brilliance got in there and said, yes, we can do this. So we learned how to analyze and read people to the level where we could reliably predict what they're feeling and thinking, and then get in there and fix it or please it or caretake it or control it or even avoid it. But that's not how reality works outside of the narcissistic codependent paradigm. Reality is more like, here's this thing happening. I don't understand it. Now I need to get to know it. I need to observe it and listen to it rather than try to analyze it so I can control it. I need to understand it so I can work with it. I can build cooperation with it, see how I can use it to my personal happiness, my advantage. And that gets us into law 6, which is choosing you first. So this all, dealing with uncertainty really plays a role with these other aspects of things that help us connect back to ourselves. Hi, Kate. I'm assuming you're Kate Eagle, because it's, you go by, well, there's a Kate that goes by Eagle, so I'm just making an assumption there. Woo! And there's a chat window there if you guys want to chat. You can post things there or whatnot. But so yeah, that's how we deal with uncertainty. We embrace it with curiosity, and we become willing to consume the fear and live with the consequence and understand that consequence. Once we're able to do that, we can do anything. So make uncertainty a tool in your arsenal when dealing with life rather than run from it. Run towards it, own it, and it will work to your benefit. Because your brilliance is found in your discovery. Your ability to know things isn't going to favor you. Your ability to understand things is. Okay. So, you guys have any questions on that? If you do, just unmute yourself or post in the chat window. Okay, no questions. Okay, so how do I nurture my sense of worth? This is the last question. It actually goes in with a question that was asked in the event thread too. Janine asked this question: how to like myself more and more, and how to heal my inner child. So I go back to there. How do I nurture my self-worth? Well, like this week's experiment was really based on liking ourselves, not loving ourselves. And the reason I approach it that way is because self-love, love in general, has all this baggage, all these connotations to it that we don't really understand well. I used to think love was giving myself up. So how do I love myself while giving myself up? How's that work? I don't know. There's no answer to that. It's contradictory. Then I started learning this other definition of love, which was sharing yourself freely. I'm like, okay, well, how do I share with myself freely? I already know what I'm doing. Well, that doesn't make much sense to me. And so I decided, what happens before love? And this kind of happened. This was an accident, really. It started with watching The Office, watching Jim and Pam build their relationship. And then I realized as I've watched like my kids grow and stuff, and they have crushes on people, I started to notice this pattern that people don't start out just loving someone. It's not like, oh, boom, I'm in love with you. It's more like, you're curious. I like you. I'm attracted to you. You're interesting to me. And so this idea of liking ourselves started to flourish in my mind. I'm like, maybe we'll try this. Maybe this is the direction to go in. And so I started practicing just liking attributes about myself. Well, I like this, I like that. And I started allowing that to really show up for me. I'm like, I really feel good. I allowed it to land. I allowed myself to feel it and own it. And then I started pointing that attention towards things I didn't like about myself, especially things I felt shame about. This is critical. Once you start to like the things that feel shameful, like attributes about ourselves that we think shouldn't be there, if we give a little like to them, a little acceptance of them, we can start sharing them, and we'll find that other people share the same things. In fact, a lot of the things we feel shame about aren't really actually bad things. They're just things we've been taught to think are bad about us. Usually they're typically social taboos or a cultural no-no in some way. If we start applying like to it or being honest with ourselves, because like for instance, I'll use an example to explain this. I really like technology. I was very much into computers growing up, and I like that stuff. It's really cool, it's fun, and it's exciting to me. But my friends thought it was stupid. My parents didn't understand it. These were all sorts of things that didn't make sense to them, and I started to feel shame and unliked and different and excluded because of it. So I decided I'm going to like this just because it is. And that has helped me flush out that shame and get into it more and be accepting and proud of what I like. And it improved my sense of self and my belonging. Because while I'm different, that doesn't mean I'm excluded. Codependency teaches us, especially narcissists do this to us. If you're different, you're bad. If you're different, you're flawed. If you're different, you're wrong. On reality, in love, in this idea of connection relationships, difference is respected. In fact, a lot of times difference is wanted so that we can have variety. And so I started approaching my enjoyment of computers with the same enthusiasm I did with other things. So I'd share it and I'd talk about it. I met a lot of people that share the same thing. And there's people who didn't understand it, but they were happy I liked it too. So I found it wasn't a shameful thing. So when we apply like, it makes it easier for us to accept it. And then love starts coming in. Because kind of like with the teenage model, I like you, you're cute. And then like it's mutual, I'm like, ooh. And if it's a stable or compatible bond, they will grow into loving each other. Well, it's the same for us. This is how we begin to reparent ourselves. I like me just as I am right now. And I can open up and feel that and let myself sit in it. If I practice that deliberately enough, I will begin to feel love for me. And that's what I experienced. That's what a lot of my clients have experienced, is that, oh, I'm starting to love me too. I think I'm pretty cool. That's where I want you to start with that. That's how we ultimately nurture a sense of self-worth, is by first liking ourselves. And then we need to praise and appreciate ourselves, guys. We're worthy of praise. We're worthy of appreciation. Not just for what we do, but for the simple fact we exist. You exist. That matters. The narcissist might have told you it doesn't matter, but to the narcissist, we matter because we exist. We have value innately. This is where we get into the Law 5 component of embracing you. This is where we embrace our presence. We begin to love and enjoy the fact we exist. We like our energy. Notice I said like. It's so easy to like the energy. And then we start seeing that in other people. And this is where we start finding our tribe. This is where a concept I teach called fit comes into play. We start finding what's called the A group, the place where we really make sense to other people and they make sense to us. And that's where love is stable. Like the question I asked today with, does love stay or go? In the A group, it stays. It's consistent. It's reliable. It's trustworthy. It's faithful. It's loyal. Because they care about who you are. They enjoy you. And then you do the same with them. And it's not something you're forcing. So you're no longer playing the codependent paradigm. You're actually in the world going, I like you. And they're all like, we like you. And everybody hugs and go do things. So that is my answer to that question. And that's all the questions I got. So do you guys have any questions you'd like to shoot at? I've got 15 minutes. What do you think? If you do, just either unmute yourself, or I could unmute, or you could put it in the chat. I'll give you a few more seconds. So silent. Okay. So, thank you for joining me, guys. I appreciate it. Post more questions if they come up to you in the group, and I may do a Facebook Live or just post to them there. Otherwise, we'll do this again next week. I'm thinking, if I'm not crazy here with my schedule, yeah, we'll do it at 7. And I'm going to do it on Zoom here for a little while and just see how this works. Thank you for showing up. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week or in the group. Okay. Bye-bye, guys.